Hi there. A chart is a floating object on top of the grid, but a sparkline is a tiny chart that lives inside one single cell. I'm Nabil Murad. In our worksheet, we have different sales channels and the gross profit generated for each channel in each month. I want to represent these values graphically by creating sparklines, but I also want to be able to select a channel from a drop list and see only the sparkline for the selected channel. In this project, we'll create a sparkline for each sales channel. We'll be defining names, and then we need to create a combo box, which requires adding the Developer tab to the ribbon, selecting an input range, and link the combo box to a cell. We'll be then creating a defined name using the choose function. We'll be also adding the camera tool to the quick access toolbar. And finally, link the combo box to the camera tool. We have a lot to learn. So let's see how we build our project from ground up in Excel. In this worksheet, I have in column A some sales channels, the catalog, online, reseller, and store. And then in columns from B to M, I have the gross profit for each month for each sales channel. And I would like to represent these numbers graphically, but instead of creating a chart, which is a floating object on top of the grid, I'll be creating a tiny chart called a sparkline. A sparkline is a little chart that lives in one single cell. So I'm selecting the destination cell in which I'll be creating my first sparkline to represent the monthly changes in the gross profit for the catalog sales channel. And to do this, I go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, and in the Sparklines group on the Insert tab, I find three different types of sparklines: line sparklines, column sparklines, which we are going to use, and the win-loss sparkline, which represents negative numbers and positive numbers on either side of the horizontal axis. I'll be selecting column sparkline, and the dialog box opens. It asks me for the data range, the input range that I would like to represent in my sparkline. So I'll be selecting all the gross profit numbers for the catalog sales. And then, because the destination cell, the location is selected, I'll keep that selected and then hit OK. I created my first sparkline, and I would like to create a similar sparkline for each one of the other channels. So instead of recreating and redoing the same exact steps, I'll be simply dragging down, and that's another option in creating a sparkline. Now that I created the sparkline for each one of the sales channels, I need to improve the appearance by formatting each one of the sparklines with a different color. And to do this, I need first to ungroup them, because the sparklines are right now grouped. So I'm selecting all the sparklines, and then I click on the right side of the Design tab and click on Ungroup to ungroup all of them. Now if I select any one of them, they look ungrouped. My next step is to go through each one of the sparklines and apply a different style. So I'll start with the first line. I'll click on the sparkline drop list for the style, and let's say I'm selecting the green one. And then for the second one, I could select a different color. I have a color picker here, so I can select, let's say, a red one, and then I can select, let's say, a purple one, and then I can select for the last one a different color. Let it be this orange color. My next step, after creating the 4 sparklines, is to name the cell in which each one of the sparkline is living. And to do this, I can select each cell and go to the name box. So I selected the first sparkline, and in the name box, I type the name of the first channel, catalog, and then I hit enter for the name to stick. I'll be doing the same exact thing for each one of the sparklines. For the second one, the name will be online. For the third one, the name will be reseller. And for the last one, the name will be store. Now that I named my cells where the sparkline lives, my next step will be naming the range for the different channels. So I'm selecting all the values, let's say the values in column A from A6 down to A9, and I would like to name all of them I'll be using the same exact technique. I want to name this range my channels. Why am I naming this range? Because I'll be using it for creating my drop list. And we have two types of drop lists in Excel. We have the drop list that we create by going to the Data tab and we call it the data validation. But the one that I'll be creating right now is called a control. It's floating also on top of the grid. And to create this other one called the combo box, I need to bring the functionality to the ribbon by adding the Developer tab. To add the Developer tab to the ribbon, I click in an empty area of the ribbon and then right-click and select Customize the ribbon. When I select Customize the ribbon, I can see different checkboxes on the right side. I want to bring the Developer tab, so I check the box for the Developer tab, and when I hit OK, I would have brought the Developer tab to the ribbon. When I click on the Developer tab, I see a group for controls, and this is the functionality that I need to use. When I click on the down arrow for the Insert command, I can see different types of controls. I'll be bringing a combo box, which is the second one from the left side. So I click on combo box, and then click and drag to position my combo box. When I create my combo box, it has no options inside. I want to click on the down arrow and be able to see the different sales channels. So I need to customize my combo box by specifying an input range. I'll be also linking my combo box to cell A11 because if I have 5 options and I select the second one, it returns 2. If I select the fifth one, it returns 5. I'm going to use the number returned in the linked cell in creating a defined name. Let's see how we do all that. In order to customize my combo box, I need to change the properties. So on the Developer tab, I click on Properties. When I click on Properties, it asks me about the input range. What's your input range? And my input range will be the different channels, and because I named them, I'm going to type my channels. And the next thing, I would like to link my combo box, so in the cell link box, I'm going to click on A11 and then hit OK. To test my combo box, I need to click outside and then click on the down arrow, and now I can see the different options. If I select Catalog, look at that, it's returning number 1. If I click and select, let's say, Reseller, it's returning 3. What we need really to do is to create a certain function and store it in memory under a specific name. We call it a defined name, and this function is called the choose function. The choose function requires a number and then a set of options. These options, let's say I have a number from 1 to 4, I should have 4 options. So if I select number 2, it will select option number 2. If I select number 3, it will select option number 3. So I want to create a named range, a defined name, and I call it my Sparklines. To create a defined name, I go to the Formulas tab and click on Define Name. What's the name you want to assign? I want to use the name my Sparklines, and this defined name will be using a choose function. So I'll say equal choose, and then I open bracket. My number will be, the index number for the choose function will be whatever comes from cell A11. Remember that I'm adding the worksheet name. My worksheet is named Sparkline, so I'm preceding the reference F11. That should be A11 because my linked cell to the combo box is cell A11. So I'm using the sheet name followed by an exclamation mark and then A11 having the number coming from the combo box. Whatever you select from the combo box, it will return a number to A11, and I'm using it as the first argument in my choose function. And then I hit comma, and then I'm going to type the different values. The first one will be catalog if I select 1. If I select 2, I want to return online. And then if I select 3, I want to return reseller. And then if I select 4, I want to return store. These are the 4 names I have. And then I hit OK, and I would have created my defined name. Now, let's add one more functionality to my quick access toolbar. I would like to add a functionality called the camera tool. So I click on the down arrow for the quick access toolbar and select more commands. Here I need commands not available in the ribbon, so I click on the drop list and select commands not in the ribbon. the one that I want starts with letter C, and it's called camera. So I'm selecting camera and click on add to add the camera tool functionality to my quick access toolbar, and then I hit OK. Now with one cell selected, what if I select the camera tool and then click and drag to create a picture or a snapshot of this cell? So right now it says this is equal to F11. So if I go to F11 and change the value by typing anything else, I type the number. When I hit enter, that number appears automatically in the returned snapshot using the camera tool. But what I did before is that I named each one of these cells, and I created a defined name using the choose function. So what if instead of F11, what if I type my Sparklines? Then when I hit enter, what I'm getting right now is the copy of the Sparkline. Now let's see the functionality. I don't need F11 anymore, so I can go and delete it. Now let's change the drop list. Let's say I'm going to move my Sparkline to the right. If I select the drop list and select reseller, it's dynamic. If I select catalog, it's dynamic. If I select the store channel, it's dynamic as well. To make it look better, I'm going to press Ctrl and click on my combo box and then move it over the number and then move the Sparkline. I can resize my Sparkline. It's all dynamic. It's all linked to the Sparklines that I created first. And then when I click on the down arrow and select catalog, it's totally dynamic. This is ready to be moved to a dashboard. So if you wish to move the combo box and move the snapshot returned by the camera tool, we can take these two and move them to a dashboard. If you enjoyed this training video, like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in our next training video.